Yeah, I had to watch this shit on a flight. It was so awkward. The people around me definitely recognized this show.
I think even I would have recognized this show, and I've never seen it,
Yeah.
and I didn't see it back then. Once it was on the TV, I was like, oh yeah. These people.
Welcome everybody. My name is George, and with me is Chris. And today we are doing the first 2 episodes of the OC.
Do people still call it the OC, or has that become uncool now with that the show is gone?
Yeah, I don't actually know. Did anybody watching this show is from that area?
Do we
Please
have a
tell
lot
us.
of fans from Orange County? It's very easy to see how this could be effective and engaging and interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun. Mm-hmm. It was fun to laugh at, and the acting's not great and stuff.
It's almost cringy in a way of like it. You know those nights where you're laying in bed and you just remember some awful thing you did when you were a teenager, and then you get secondhand embarrassment, but from yourself in the past.
Yeah,
it was like that. So in a way, it captured. I feel like it represented the angsty teenage years fairly well.
one time I was getting onto a city bus in the middle of the day. I walked on and slipped my money into the thing back when that still happened. Put coins in the thing, and then just smoothly walked straight across the aisle of the bus and into the other wall of the bus. Just full on, face first. That has nothing to do with anything. That's just the first memory that came back when you were talking about that.
Oh man. Hey, viewers, tell us, what was your most embarrassing teenage year moment that you still think about every once in a while that makes you clench your teeth and just want to, run away to Nepal and live out the rest of your life as a nanny goat? Okay, so the show begins with the 2 brothers stealing a car.
Yeah, the rough life in Chino.
And very quickly, our main character Ryan gets arrested and meets somebody who will eventually basically become his father, right?
Yeah. His brother's
yeah.
a hardened criminal, but he's Goodwill Hunting. That he has so much promise, but he's trapped in Chino.
I'm assuming you don't plan on coming back. Your grades are not great.
I had to stop putting notes. I got rid of most of them because I kept making notes for just little reaction moments. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I can't just point out everyone. But yeah, there's so many great, terrible moments of silent teen acting in this show. That was one of the things that kept me going, I would say.
Yeah, so we basically get that entire setup of angry teen from a bad home, over caring lawyer for some reason.
And they know we don't care about it at all. Because there's very little effort put into building up what his rough life is like. Or what he's doing here, or what's driving him, or anything. It's we all know we just want him to get to Peter Gallagher's house as soon as possible. So they really do short shrift to this side.
Well, the thing is, I keep trying to imagine this from the point of view of somebody in their teens watching this back then, right? If you were a teenager at 16, 17 watching this show for the first time, and you have basically zero life experience and experience pretty much, let's be real, no hardships. Mm-hmm. You might look at this and go, oh man, that's rough.
Yeah.
If we really showcase what someone like Ryan would be like in real life, it might be too much.
Yes, I think that's accurate.
He would not be kind of red-faced, well-fed, looking so clean-cut and everything.
Well, and that's one thing that, again, I agree with you that it may not be the wrong choice, but that kept bugging me throughout the entirety of these 2 episodes. I was like,
yeah,
he's just this basic, well-adjusted, well-manicured, good-looking, polite.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, I had to really remind myself what the intended audience was. Yeah. Because, in my teens, early teens, all the way into middle and late high school, my family lived in sort of the where the city puts all the immigrants. That rough area, you know what I'm talking about, where there's just a mattress on the lawn and people kind of just stand at the doorway staring at nothing all day.
Sure.
It's that area. So when I see the way Ryan is supposed to represent kid from the rough neighborhood, it's a little hard to believe, but you gotta suspend that that disbelief.
He's got a lot of like zhuzh for like a poor kid in seemingly a fairly abusive home. He's just like pretty peppy.
Well, hustlers, grab your guns, your shadow weighs a ton, driving down the 101.
You know what really held up is the fucking music cue.
Yeah.
Yeah, this. As he's at the payphone, like trying to call up everybody and no one's helping him.
I'm not gonna lie, since a week or whatever before when we decided to do this, I've just been sitting in my house. Caroline, not happy. One of the credited composers on the song is the actor Jason Schwartzman, who was the drummer of the band at the time and went on to be like, like a Wes Anderson favorite. He's in Darjeeling Limited and Fantastic Mr. Fox.
And you know what? This opening with this theme song probably is one of the biggest contributing factors for why this show stuck in people's mind for so long.
I really think that when I was saying I recognized it despite anything, I think it was these images that I recognized, like just the general sort of like, here's the just like true fantasy part. It's like all beaches and sunsets and hot people, and you'll just be invited into these people's homes.
Yeah,
they'll be really excited that you're in California now, and
that's exactly what gated community in LA is like. They love homeless people.
They love poor kids.
I stole a car. Crashed it.
Okay, and I mentioned I had one big foundational issue, and this was kind of it. It's like, I just never understood why anyone decided for him to come here in the first place.
Yeah,
I didn't understand what
reason.
Peter Gallagher was getting out of it, other than, I understand. He sees himself in the kid. He wants to help the kid. But that's got to happen 10 times a day for this guy.
Yeah, exactly. He's a public defendant, which means that he's only going to get cases like this kid. He's not going to get some affluent rich kid who like crashes his car, because they would have retained lawyers. And so then,
And then, I still don't, after 2 episodes, really understand what, I don't really know what Ryan's doing or what he wants.
Who are you?
Whoever you want me to be.
Teen boys making friends sounds basically like 7-year-old boys making friends. I thought that was very well handled, because it's true.
You want to play? Yeah, that's it.
Also, adult boys of 30 or 40 sounds pretty much the same. Slightly different games, I guess, but that's it. And then I just thought it was one of the really nice moments in the show, because it was also one of the moments where the shallow conversation, I think, like you were saying, like, was a perfect representation of how it would all go down, and you could see the deeper subtext. They're just both out on the boat. They're just crushing cranberry juice. They both got bottles of ocean spray. The party is the big like blowout beat, I guess, where everyone in a fit of pique, Adam Brody reveals the true nature of Ryan's past, and he's like, "Why don't you go back to Chino?" And then like a series of like disturbed whispers run around the room, like, "Chino, Chino, Chino."
Oh my god.
I don't know. No one knows who Ryan is, so I'm not sure why they care.
I mean, looking at even the background performers of this party, can you imagine if there was an immigrant there?
I mean, we haven't talked about it much, but oh man, is this a light show. Because I didn't know what he wanted to do here or what he was trying to get out of being here, I didn't feel like he should be like embarrassed or anything. Like, I was like, were you trying to fit in?
Yeah, like why would he care?
Were you trying to hide and be rich, or like you're embarrassed that you're poor or not? I don't know what I don't know what he cares about in this show at all. At all. He likes Adam Brody, which is very sweet and nice. Yeah. And they have a good friendship. But other than that, I do not know what he's doing here.
Welcome to the OC, bitch.
Brody's parent or mom finds out he got into a fight. And that is sufficient enough reason for her to go, no, this kid's going homeless. I don't want him here. I don't want Ryan here because somebody punched my son once. So he gets kicked out, and I'll give it to this show. Like, the second thing that did really well is did not pull the punches for the final moment.
You're right.
For when he gets dropped off at his parents' house and there's just no one there. I mean, he straight up gets abandoned for the second time.
Intentionally home alone. They leave a note in like crayon or something. Parents abandon their kids in real life. That exists.
Yeah, but I think it's usually the other way around. Like, they kick them out as opposed to
not
moving. But, you know, I can definitely see how this hooked people. Because it's a high point ending for a pilot.
It is. Like, the pleasures of this show are soap opera pleasures.
Yes.
And this is just a great, like, oh my god kind of moment. So, yeah.
Yeah. Which reminds me, if you're interested in listening to the full-length discussion of this episode, you can find it on our Patreon. The link is on screen and in the description down below. If you go over there, you will get the entire recording in an audio format like a podcast. Check it out. Support us. Help us keep doing this. We really appreciate it. Anyways.
Episode 2 starts with another different song about California. That's also
much less catchy.
Yeah, much. They then stuck with the main California song. But it did make me wonder how many songs about California there are if you keep watching the OC.
What happens if they don't find her?
He'll go into the system. Foster care till he's 18. I mean, they'll try and place him, but at his age.
He's already, what, like 17?
I assume so.
Would he still be placed into the system, quote unquote? Like, even if he is, it's for like a year. It's not remotely the same as someone being placed in there at 5, which is how these parents are reacting us.
That's
like, they're making it sound like he's going in to be like Oliver Twist.
He's like a pretty like competent, self-sufficient dude at this point.
Like, the show really immediately fell off a cliff at episode 2 in terms of just things happening.
Yeah, because now the plot of episode 2 is just like they're trying to help him leave again. The kids, or the parents take care of him for one episode, then he gets kicked out. Now the kids kind of band together to take care of him.
But I mean, like, look, I don't know how the show continues on because we stop at episode 2, but like, presumably he's just gonna live here. So, and it made me groan because I was like, I realized that they're just gonna milk this entire episode on something that we already know
right.
that they would do, which is let him stay.
Yeah.
But they're gonna milk it, right?
Can you imagine if he just left the show? He just leaves at the end of episode 2 and then
he was found dead on the side of the road. Oh, because like, you know, I know it's important to see characters work through a problem and reach the right decision, but that only works if there is an equally valid and weighted reason for them to not do the right thing.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
In this case, no one has any reason to not just do what they're already going to do immediately.
No, there's literally only that Peter Gallagher's wife is like mildly squeamish. That's that's the only problem they've thrown up.
So all it is just like, it just feels like you're watching a very slow train arrive at its inevitable destination.
I forgot to complain about Peter Gallagher's wife in the first episode. They did give her a little bit, I guess, over the course of the 2 episodes, but I really found that she was stuck in that classic like wife character scenario of like she only exists to just like represent the wrong point of view so that Peter Gallagher can like argue against it and be right. As you're saying, there's just no reason, and then the wife pops up to just be like, well, he's poor and he keeps wearing that leather jacket hoodie thing.
No way. Look who's back. You know, you're a little far from 8 Mile.
I feel like I really didn't understand this show when it came out. I remember my friends that were watching it describing it to me, and I remember just thinking like these are like the last people that I would want to watch a show about. Like, what's lamer than a bunch of like rich white conservatives in the suburbs in California? Like, it always just kind of seemed like this transparent excuse to just like wallow in like materialism and wealth and privilege and just like look at it on TV. But then when I was watching it now, I guess I felt like I understood more what the idea is or what the appeal is, because the show, supposedly, like we're talking about here with these other characters, like, the show is critical of wealth and materialism, but the way it does that is it has, like, these peripheral characters, like the neighbor's wife and stuff, that are shallow and obnoxious and whatever. But then it has our main characters, our main family, who are, like, there's, like, the struggling, good-hearted lawyer with progressive views and his, like, good-hearted wife who will eventually find her way to seeing things his way, and then they take the smart kid from the wrong side of the tracks. And so what I realized, I think, is that the fantasy of the OC and shows like it isn't the fantasy of being a shallow, materialist, rich person in a terrible suburb. The fantasy is that if you, being the great main character that you are, brilliant special person, if you were rich and successful and could afford this area code, then you would be one of the special few who is actually like a good, kind, thoughtful, creative, intelligent person. So like, I thought it was just like a fantasy of living in Orange County, but actually I think it's a fantasy of how if you lived in Orange County, you would be different and better. I see that as a more appealing fantasy than just the fantasy of like, oh man, what if I had a huge truck?
Right now, punk.
I'm sorry, Avril Lavigne doesn't count as punk.
Oh yeah? Well, what about the Cramps? Stiff Little Fingers. The Clash. Sex Pistols.
Okay, let's do the segment.
Sure.
Do you have any?
Yeah,
what would you do?
I'll go. Well, okay. First, I think for the segment, like I've said a couple other times, I have to acknowledge, like, there probably isn't too much to change because this show obviously did exactly what it was supposed to. So I'm not saying I could make a better version of this show per se. But funny enough, my mind went where yours went. The twist that I wanted to see is that Ryan moves in. They've made this like kind progressive choice to take in this kid. And very quickly, what happens is we realize that Adam Brody, their son, is falling in love with Ryan. And the reason that he's had such a hard time like getting on with everyone is, and he's so like keeps to himself, is that he's homosexual, he's closeted, he doesn't want to like tell anyone or open up with anyone, and that's like he's really struggled in the like in the culture. And so the show becomes a show about these parents who have made this progressive-minded choice who now have to struggle with, are they okay when they're talking about like maybe their son's future being a relationship with this young guy and all the trouble that's going to come with that.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that would be interesting because then it also makes Mishka Barton's character kind of chasing nothing. I just want to see a version of this that's the reverse role of the family. Have the rich kid rescued by the poor family.
Oh yeah, I love that stuff.
Yeah, just have Adam Brody's very affluent, comfortable but awkward life.
Yeah.
Having to live with Ryan's family with like no bedrooms.
Maybe people who grew up closer to Ryan would enjoy that kind of story, like you and I, and maybe people who grew up closer to Seth would like the OC type story more, and maybe people who grew up like Seth are the people that keep the TV show running.
Okay, all right. That wraps it up for this week's episode with the OC. If you guys have any other TV shows you want us to check out, first 2 episodes, let us know. We're gonna look into that.
I think
next week,
both of us have not seen very much TV. So
no, I grew up watching Simpsons. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so next week, Netflix has graciously dropped us another rotten fruit in the form of the third 365 days movie, the next 365 days. So I'm gonna make a prediction. The next 365 days has to be about a baby.
A bit, yeah. Well, that makes sense.
It's a year,
That's
right?
What Bridget Jones 3 is about. Maybe I finally get my revenge of evil. Didn't someone So she got shot, right? Someone got shot. What happened?
Yeah, that's how it ends.
Yeah,
that's how it ends. She gets shot, and then evil Massimo joins Twilight. That's one of the Italian vampires.
Yeah, right.
All right, that's it. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week.
See you next week. California.